in the 1920s during the period of Jim Crow, when the Ku Klux Klan was warning about the rise of Bolsheviks around the United States and fueling its attempt to take over parts of the American political system at that time. Um, Obviously, they're different things in their particulars, but do you think that it's the same basic dynamic or the same motive force?
So this is, I think, where the economy comes in. The whole idea of the KKK in the 1920s and the know nothings in the 1850s and the anti-immigrant sentiments in the 1890s was that the reason that the standards of living were not increasing for people more generally across the country than they were at the very top was because of those people. And one of the things that you see in each of those moments is an attempt of people who are eager for power to leverage the idea of racism, anti-immigrant sentiment, sexism to consolidate power. You do get the rise of the KKK all over the country, in especially rural areas where they organize against immigrants in states that don't have a large Black population. My home state of Maine had a strong KKK component in the 1920s. But what's really interesting to that about me is about that to me is there is a real economic push behind that "we hate those people" thing. And it starts with just "we hate those people." But as the policies of the Republicans in the 1920s increasingly make it impossible for rural Americans and minorities to rise and to prosper, while there's real money going to the very top, that fever does break. And in 1924, for example, the whole idea that D.C. Stevenson was saving America is completely shattered when he rapes and murders Madge Oberholzer. And that really breaks that fever. And what's interesting to me about that, if you look at this moment in American politics, is when you break that racist, sexist, anti-immigrant fervor, what you get is that economic, hey, what's going on here? And I think if you look at American politics today, we're seeing an awful lot of that, hey, what's going on here kind of thing. And that I think is a really interesting element here that when we focus on the hatred, we tend to miss that people rode that hatred to power. And then when they couldn't deliver the kind of economic promises that they had laid out there, they end up really creating a new kind of economic situation.